And welcome back, wrestling community, to part two of the TNA Genesis pay-per-view and your wrestling news, bits, rumors, anything and everything wrestling in the last couple days. First, we'll start off with your ratings. TNA Impact for January 6, 2011 scored a 1.2 viewership rating. WWE Raw for January 10th, 2011 received a 3.1 viewership rating, same as last week, so this seems to be their trend. And for the handful of people that watched, WWE Superstars scored a 0.6 viewership rating. In your wrestling news, John Cena was fined Monday night by WWE for cursing on Monday Night Raw. I thought that's why they had the bleeps, but I guess with the PG rating, they got rid of the bleeping. He said something along the lines of, let's kick some ass or something like that, and they fined him for basically the word ass. To elaborate on a story we reported a couple days ago, Ronald Basham, the 7-year-old, now 18-year-old, who was injured at WWE Judgment Day 2000 during the Triple H and Rock match, injured his right leg and knee when the wrestlers took the match into the crowd, and it was an off-camera segment, and a fan fell into him, and according to his mother, the interview's on YouTube, I believe, a fan fell into him, and then the chair ate him. Basically, I guess he fell, and then the chair folded with him, I guess. This is a little obscure, waiting 10 years, and the lawyers claiming that all they initially wanted was WWE to cover the ambulance ride and the medical bills, but due to WWE's non-response, they've now taken it to where now that Basham is 18, they're suing for a little more, and we were right in assuming that the lawyers were just sitting on this. Basham claimed that his whole life was ruined, but up until the lawsuit was filed, Basham is a stock car racer and had posted on his Facebook page numerous crashes and injuries that have since been removed, but WWE's intelligent and vast legal team is legally allowed to obtain those photos, so I hope he didn't think that that was going to help his case any, because he will have to submit said photos. As we mentioned at the end of part one, Jeff Hardy gets the trafficking charge dropped and brags about it, and that he probably won't do any time as this is his first offense, and part of the agreement is he pleaded guilty. So more or less what we predicted when we reported it to begin with a couple videos ago. He already had this worked out and has been more or less playing cocky because he knew how it was going to work out from the word go. You have to wonder, though, what this says about the legal team, because it's not really fair. It doesn't send a message that he's learned anything. He'll still continue to do things. We all know that TNA's drug policy, yeah, they test, but nothing happens if you fail. And especially if you're a star, as Jeff Hardy's proven, you continue to go on because TNA needs all the help it can get. Another downfall for TNA broadcasting is that they lost their UK broadcasting. Fans in the UK now have to pay upwards of about $60 a month if they choose to watch shows like Impact and whatnot. So it's basically just to get TNA now for them. It's more than the cost of a TNA pay-per-view. One has to wonder that when and if they get it back, if the UK following will still be there. AJ Styles is out for at least 3 months due to a muscle tear while he was playing with his kids out of action. Stevie Richards tweets that he has formally quit TNA, and Sailor Pete signs a 3-year deal with TNA. Moving into my segment, this doesn't solve anything really. I don't think Jeff should be allowed to brag about this as me or you, as we reported before, would be doing real time. If we did anything near like this, we'd have fines out the ass. Regardless of what kind of lawyer we had, we would still have to pay some debt for our crime. And sending the message that this is the face of your promotion, I don't think makes TNA look good, even though they seem to think the opposite, which couldn't be further from odd, which couldn't be, well, you could say further, insert adjective here on that one, but especially when your demographic is kids and the 18-year-old, and you want to send a message that this is entertainment, and it all correlates with his heel turn and all that. They shouldn't have based it around his real charge. If you ask me, it was in poor taste. It should not be bragged about. It should, even if he did, it should have been kept low-key that he more or less got away with it. Because you have people that follow TNA strictly, I don't know about anymore or lately, because Jeff Hardy's managed to be his own worst enemy. You have kids that follow and want to emulate him. Each week he portrays high-flying moves, and he's a wrestler that at one point, like I said, I don't know if fans want to anymore, but at one point wanted to get into wrestling just like Matt and Jeff did, starting in their indie days. And to debut, moving into that, to debut Matt Hardy as sluggish as he is, I don't think did Matt any favors. I don't think it helped TNA in any way, shape, or form, because I don't think anyone cares about Matt Hardy. And I think that's a safe assumption. Matt Hardy is irrelevant to professional wrestling. So is his brother. This has gotten to the point where they're not wrestling icons anymore. They're wrestling disasters. They make the business look bad. They make the promotion they represent look even worse, if that's possible. And I just think they should both be fired and blacklisted from wrestling. You should not send the message that you can do all this, and like we reported before, he left WWE because WWE has a stricter drug testing policy, and he couldn't get away with what he's obviously allowed to get away with now, which is doing drugs, and as long as he performs, they could care less whether he fails. Now, he lost the title because I don't think they were 100% sure I don't think they're 100% sure on this outcome, but I think Jeff is pretty confident that he's beaten the system. And in a sense, he has. He's gotten to do what none of us would be allowed to do, and walked away from it probably just having to pay legal fees, some community service, and some fines. But if it's anything like it is here in Pennsylvania and they have an ARD program, he got away by the skin of his teeth, and the ARD program is something he'll have to pay for. And when all's said and done, it all comes out to money. And I think Jeff, with his vast amount of money, and TNA with its non-concern for its workers, when you're allowing a wrestler to pass out As we reported in a couple, I think 1 or 2 videos before this, the first incident came when he fell asleep at a pay-per-view. He was due to work, and they found him in the locker room sleeping. How do you continue to put a man like that on your payroll and promote a man like that when better talent is out there, more deserving talent is out there, and can't get in because all the, quote, slots are filled? And who's filling these slots are not anyone that aspiring wrestlers should want to be like. It does not set a good example for this industry, like I said, for the promotion itself, but TNA will be its own worst enemy. As Dark Majesty commented, and I agreed, and I initially said, TNA won't last 6 months unless something changes. And what needs to immediately change is these concrete contracts to people that don't really do anything. Eric Bischoff should not be featured in every segment of a show. There should not be, I believe if you add it up, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 17. You're looking at more or less a half an hour, 25 minutes to a half an hour or better in just backstage drama, video packages which help the pay-per-view if the matches are something somebody wants to see. But like I said in part 1, there were only 1 or 2 matches that were actually worth watching. Outside of that, they could have done everything that they did Sunday on an Impact, and they've given stuff like this away before. So I don't understand, getting back to it, the manager / promoter / whatever the hell Eric Bischoff is, he's not the answer for Dixie Carter. If anything, like I've said, look at the last year. Hogan, okay, he revolutionized wrestling, like I said before. He should at least be given creative consideration where he stays in the back and he helps develop the program. But for him to come out and take TV time like he actually contributes to the show and people watch it for that reason, I think his debut alone said it all. Because I don't think they got, when he debuted, I don't think they got the viewership they were hoping for to have Hulk Hogan, who was once an icon, on their roster. And when you're paying drug addicts and disgruntled storyline writers like Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, and I'll say it again, all this is to Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo is a ship to try and compete with TNA. If the Monday Night War attempt wasn't the obvious clue, everything they've done after and before it is. These guys aren't interested in bettering wrestling for the wrestling fan. They're interested in shutting Vince McMahon down, but in the process, they'll shut down any promotion that they're associated with. So my message is, Jeff, get out of wrestling. You've disrespected it enough. You worked so hard to get where you were, and because you want to do drugs, then get out of wrestling. Eric Bischoff, you know nothing about wrestling. Get out of it. Vince Russo, you can't stick to a storyline if you tried. You start, and then you get bored with it, and you do the switcheroo, that you think fans are going to follow, but after you do it so many times, it no longer becomes compelling. It becomes, okay, this guy doesn't know which way he wants to go. All this and more at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. Friend us at Facebook and Twitter, both at CWE Company. Send all show-related email questions, comments, concerns to CWE